Now let's add an assignment to a discussion, because it's a little bit different. Really just one setting actually. So we're in the mass communication folder. I went ahead and already made a mass communication discussion. I click on settings. Again, very simply, I go over to assignment, gradebook settings, assignment. I choose to make a new assignment. I'm going to leave it unnamed so it'll fill this in. Now I did go ahead and make a discussions forum or discussion category. So through the magic of video it is now appearing. Because remember, you've got to have the category. Now for my posts, I usually don't do 100. You know, a post might be out of 5. So the top points they can get for a post, the best post, would be 5. And now I want to change this calculation type to first submission. Because usually, you know, we have our students do, like, your first post needs to be a substantive post and have this, and that. So I want to grade it on the first submission. I leave it at course default, of course, which is our letter grade. And I go ahead and I click save. Now if I go back to manage, gradebook, view all grades, I can see there's a new discussion setup, a discussion overall, and my mass communication discussion. And remember, I had set up a new category, that's why that's showing up. And you can see now it's at a possible 5 points, whereas these are 100. Now how do we grade that? We'll click done. We're going to go back into learning modules, back into that learning module, the mass communication one. There's a couple different things. You can click on it to grade. You could go to submissions, say grade forum, and this shows, you know, my posts. So let's say I was grading that particular post that I had made. I could then put my letter grade in, or my number grade in here, possible out of 5, and I could add comments. I'm going to hit cancel to show you the other way. Click done. I could go into the message board. I'm going to do a new post, so we actually have something to grade. This I would not consider, I guess, substantive, but it's just for testing purposes. Okay, now I've made a post and I want to grade this, or a student made a post, let's say, and I as the instructor want to grade this. So I can either go to the main folder and find the discussion and click submit or submissions, or I can open it and click submissions up here. It takes us to the same screen, which is the grade forum screen. There's just one little link there, so we click on that and we're taken to this menu, or this screen, where we see the student, and then here are a bunch of different pieces of information that are kind of handy to look at. We've got one, the total posts. This is how many posts we've made overall. Posts is how many original posts we made our own posts. Like I said new thread and I created it. Total posts are all the things I've done, replies, everything. And then of course this is just the replies. Peer replies, people that replied from our replies. Average peer rating. Now if you're wondering what that is, it's those little stars at the end of the discussion. A lot of times I'll have students have to sort of rate, do peer reviews of their peers on their posts, and then this way the student might hit 1 star or 2 stars or 3 stars, so we see what the overall peer rating is right here, and then an earned and a possible grade. Now I've done this out of 5 points, so what I can do is I can click on the person's name and I can see a list of all their posts. Now the one bad thing about this is you can kind of lose context, like, because there's no maybe there was a reply to this. So it's a little, sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad. But what we can do is, if we've told them, we're grading their initial post, we can tell what that is. Because we can make sure they name it a certain way, discussion post 1, or of course that it's the most substantive one. So that's why you might recommend them, naming their subject line discussion post 1, and then something relevant, mass communication in the modern world. Then I know it's the post 1. I can see it instead of just hello, and I can read it, and then I can go ahead and grade it. And then I would just click done. I would come over here, and of course Kevin did awesome, so I'm going to give him a 5, and I'm going to tell him he is awesome. And of course 2 exclamation marks definitely let him know that. And I click submit grades, and done. And now if I go back into the discussions, we still see his board. And what I wanted to show you was, here are those stars I was telling you about. These are the peer review stars. So you could tell a student, and build it in part of your class, is the students will be peer reviewing you by giving you stars. And you can either use that for yourself to see what your students are thinking, or sort of gauge their understanding of the posts, and it's just a good way to have everybody sort of checking each other's work and building sort of a community. Now, what we could do is we can go back to manage now, because I've added that grade. I could go to Gradebook, view all grades, and now if you notice, under discussions overall, there's the one assignment I created out of 5 points, and it's got 100%. So even though I said 5 points are the highest, they got a 5, so they got 100%. And since we did that setup in our grading scale, it knows that 100 equals an A+, and a 0 equals an F. And that's how you set up a discussion grading.